Yes, everyone. Welcome back to Stretford, Paddock. Stephen Howson, Rio Ferdinand. All right.
How you doing? You all right?
Right. United are playing here. Everton tomorrow. You represent one of the lads that's playing for Everton. Ben Godfrey. Three of them. All right. Well, there's one I wanted to talk about in particular. I think Ronaldo. Four.
Yeah. Can't say yet.
Okay. Right. So Godfrey, I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
Probably playing right back, I think, this weekend. I think Ronaldo's starting to drift into that left sort of channel a little bit. What do you think he's going to be like up against Ronaldo tomorrow?
I think first of all it would be a great experience for him, young player, being exposed to a player like Cristiano. I think it's important for him in his development. Great kid, sponge, wants to learn, got all the attributes you'd want in a young defender, aggressive, quick, got that grit about him. But importantly, he wants to learn. He's got an intelligence about him. There's aspects of his game, obviously, as a young defender, he's got to learn still. But that comes with games, and I think there's no better place or player to play against at the moment than someone like Ronaldo to keep you on your toes, but to also give you a little gauge of where you're actually at. So I think he'll be looking forward. He'll be bouncing into the game. I think every player this season, going up against Man United and against Cristiano, from a defender's point of view, will bounce into the game thinking, lucky to be playing here and let me test myself.
So how do you test yourself against Ronaldo? I don't even want to ask this, do I want to know how Ben Godfrey stops Ronaldo? Not really, but
I think every defender, I think the biggest thing for you is concentration. And my example is that we played here against him, and I played against at the Bernabeu against him for Man United when he scored the winner here in the 1-0 game. He hardly touched the ball. You don't need to touch the ball, but he impacts the games, and we saw that again in the midweek game here. Is that he could be off sorts, he could be out of sorts, he could be nowhere near a 7 or 8 out of 10 performance, but win the game. So again, do all you want during the game, but just make sure that the big moment's going to come. Be ready.
What is the tactic against Ronaldo? Do you get tight to him? Do you go give him a bit of space? Do you try and kind of manage where he's moving? I know what you would do. What do you think is the right thing to do?
It's difficult. I think the game sometimes presents certain scenarios that you've got to be adaptable to. I think you can't just go in it and say this is how you've got to play against someone. I think in different areas you approach it differently. I think especially from central areas, if you allow him to turn with any space, he's not shy in shooting, so you can't allow that to happen. So you've got to do all you can to not allow him turning with space to get the ball out of his feet.
Pundits say that a lot. What does that actually mean? Do you literally mean getting right on his touch, blocking on his strong foot?
I think I've done a piece about Lukaku the other day. I think getting this tight to someone like Ronaldo is not. He can roll you, he can spin you quickly, but if you're touch tight where you're like this and the ball comes into him and he feels that you're close enough that he can't turn, he'll probably play backwards. Job done.
That's what you're looking for.
I just want him to put, as long as the ball goes back where it came from or sideways, I'm happy. The moment he turns and plays it past me or can shoot, then I've not done my job.
How do you think the game's going to pan out aside from those two?
Well, watching the game midweek, I think the midfield area was a cause for concern for me. They played with one pivot in there, which we've all been crying out for, but it wasn't done particularly well. I think you had Bruno and Pogba either side of McTominay, and I thought it was probably the balance wasn't great in there, and we got kind of overrun and opened up quite easily. So I think that needs to be something to be looked at. I think Decore could be a threat in there because he's shown in the last couple of games that he can break into the box when given that freedom. We'll have to have somebody ready to be able to match him because he's athletic. We saw it when he was at Watford, he was the same. But this season he's had more licence under Rafa at times. So. And I think the midfield area is going to be key. I think we've the moment you start getting opened up in midfield, the game opens up, and I think that puts us on the back foot. And I don't think we can allow for that to happen. So I think with the players that are at his disposal, I think maybe midweek has said to Ollie again. Actually, it's confirmed that you do need to play maybe two in there. He might start thinking.
Yeah, I think when you look at what Bruno offers you, Bruno is a 10. He's a pure 10, and actually I think he thinks he's a 9 half the time as well because he gets that far forward. To accommodate him in a team, you can't really play a 3. You're going to have to play a 2 just to have the legs. And it's not necessarily 2 defensive midfielders, is it? If you play McTominay alongside Fred is your defensive midfielder, but McTominay's the legs, isn't he? He's there to do the shuttling and to get forward as well as to get back.
Yeah, and I think that suits McTominay more. I think McTominay grew up as a young kid as a small number 10 and then eventually became an 8 and stuff. And as a 6, I don't think that's his natural position. I think in time, if he worked it, he could become a really good, effective number 6. But Fred and him, I think in terms of legs and energy, they can match most. But I've said this before, I think in that position, a lot of the time, some of the best players in there, their first and best attributes aren't physicality. Michael Carrick, his positioning, smelling the danger.
Carrick wasn't small though.
No, but it's not physicality. His game, even when he was the size he was, you wouldn't say he's one of the strongest guys. He wasn't someone who tried to dictate play through being physical or imposing his power on anybody at all. That was his last thing he would have done. Busquets, same thing. Stature, big, but not their best trait. Even Rodri at Man City, when you watch him live, he's super impressive in the positions that he takes up. So there's three players just quickly that I've named at best in class at doing that, and physicality is probably not their strongest element of their game that they rely on, and sometimes you've got to be able to think and see things, and then it comes down to the experience and games played in that position as well.
So there's a massive clamour for Donny van der Beek to play there. We spoke to him obviously on 5. He thinks he can play there. Myself, I'm not sure. I think he's more of a little blonde version of Pogba, I think, than he is anything like a number 6. Although I do think he's got those Carrick-like attributes that he could play there. I just don't see him having those defensive actions. Do you think there's anyone coming through the academy that could fulfil that role if we're not going to go into the market?
Yeah, I think there's. Well, listen, I think they've had players here that have gone out on loan. Who's the boy?
Ghana?
Yeah, Ghana. I think he's an England under-21 player now. He's had some lengthy time on loan. I think there's got to be a time at some point in the near future where you're saying, is he going to be good enough or not?
What Bellingham did in the Championship. If you can prove yourself in the Championship, surely you can play.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you can talk about Bellingham in the same conversation. He's like a generational talent. I think he's just ridiculous. I think you've got Charlie Savage, hearing good reports about someone like him at the club who's developing really well. But it's difficult. I think to get into this first team here as a young player, you see the young players that have done it. Rashford, Danny Welbeck, they're like big players that go on to be internationals, full internationals. Mason Greenwood now, they're massive talent. So it's not an easy thing to do.
All right, back to the game then. Give us a quick score prediction. We'll wrap it up.
I'm going to go for a 2-1 win for Man United.
Because we can't keep clean sheets.
Yeah, we haven't kept clean sheets enough this season, so I'll go 2-1. I think we'll score a couple because of the likes of Ronaldo. I think the firepower's there. Someone like Everton have to play a near perfect game to get anything out of this, and that'll be the test for them.
Nice one, cheers, Bob.
Right, mate.
Laters.